afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon. After a series of disruptive actions to start his second term, U.S. President Donald Trump takes a victory lap in a speech to Congress. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau slams what he calls very dumb tariffs imposed by Trump. Inflation in the Philippines eases to 2.1% in February. LeBron James making history again as he becomes the first NBA player to score 50,000 career points. America is back. That statement from U.S. President Trump as he addresses Congress for the first time since returning to power. He calls his first month in office the most successful of any U.S. presidency in history. Trump also defending his crackdown on federal bureaucracy, his trade war with Canada, Mexico, and China, and his America First policy. The 78-year-old Republican billionaire says he was just getting started on his radical plans to reshape the United States.
6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started. I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again.
Among those in attendance, the world's richest man, Elon Musk, who's leading Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau not mincing words as he slams President Trump for imposing tariffs on Canadian imports. Trudeau says there is absolutely no justification or need for the tariffs. He warns Canada will challenge the measures at the World Trade Organization and through the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products and forego bourbon and other classic American products. And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. But let me tell Americans, we're not booing you. We're not booing your teams. We're not booing your players. We're booing a policy that is designed to hurt us. And we're insulted. And we're angry. But we're Canadian, which means we're going to stand up for each other. We're going to fight. And we're going to win.
As the tariffs take effect, Canada's two most populous provinces already pushing back. Quebec and Ontario are now taking U.S. alcohol off the shelves of provincially run liquor stores. Volodymyr Zelensky seeking clarification on the U.S. military aid pause. The Ukrainian president has ordered his defense minister and other officials to hold talks with their American counterparts. He says maintaining a normal partnership with the U.S. is crucial for truly ending Ukraine's war with Russia. Zelensky also expresses regret over last week's public spat with President Trump at the Oval Office.
Ukraine and America deserve a respectful dialogue and a clear stance from each other, especially when it comes to protecting lives during a full-scale war. Ukraine will always be grateful to the United States for all the support it has provided and continues to provide, support that helps uphold Europe's already fragile security. This is not just about our country, it concerns all of Europe.
Arab leaders have adopted Egypt's plan for the reconstruction of war-torn Gaza. Unlike U.S. President Trump's proposal for a Middle East Riviera, the plan does not involve relocating Palestinians. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi says rebuilding Gaza would cost more than $50 billion. But Israel is criticizing the Egyptian plan, saying it continues to rely on Palestinian Authority and the UNRWA. Israel has linked both to corruption and terrorism. Some good news from the Vatican. It says Pope Francis did not have any new respiratory crises. The Vatican adds he remained stable throughout Tuesday and has remained without fever and is always alert. Francis on Monday suffered 2 episodes of what doctors called acute respiratory insufficiency. The 88-year-old pontiff is battling double pneumonia and has been in Rome's Gemelli Hospital for more than 2 weeks. No petition can force the Senate to bend the law. That's the response of Senate President Cheese Escudero to a signature campaign to push the chamber to expedite the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. Human rights groups and families of EJK victims gathered in Quezon City yesterday to launch the 1 million signature drive. Escudero says the law should not bow to anyone's dictate simply because of their own desire. According to the Senate's timetable, the trial begins July 30th. Some House lawmakers believe the supposed delay in the impeachment trial has something to do with the election season, and they claim this only favors the VP. Zandro Ochona reports.
Several members of the House of Representatives continue to prod the Senate to start the impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte. On Bilyonaryo News channel's On Point, Representative Geraldine Roman says the upcoming elections could be the reason for the delay.
Ang tanong dyan ano bang susundan natin? Diba? Yung ating political career na hindi naman kinakailangan matalo ka dahil lang dun sa possibility na yon. O yung ating constitutional mandate. The question is it the right thing to do? I think more compelling reason yung constitutional mandate.
Other lawmakers agree.
They could be protecting the interests of the Vice President, but mostly they're protecting themselves because we are in the middle of campaigning. We're all in the middle of campaigning. A lot of the senators are re-electionists, and that's why this is not happening. I mean, pagpakatotoo tayo, yun lang ang rason.
And the delay supposedly only favors the VP.
Siyempre ang pangalawang Pangulo, habang hindi po dinidinig ang impeachment trial, mas lalo hong nagkakaroon ng sense of impunity. Yung pagka walang parang hindi sineseryoso yung mga nakita naming mga krimen o di kaya mga pagkukulang doon sa kagawaran ng edukasyon at sa tanggapan ng pangalawang Pangulo.
According to Senate President Cheese Escudero's timeline, the impeachment trial is unlikely to commence before late July. But House members believe this does not fulfill provisions in the Constitution. Representative Asidre suggests that the Senate considers starting the impeachment trial after the elections.
Pwede hong after election at hindi naman hong kailangan sumunod sa legislative calendar na mag-e-end po. Kung sisimulan rin lang nila sa after ng election ay dapat tuloy-tuloy na at hindi na paabutin hanggang dun sa Hunyo, no? Or sa Hulyo.
The chairperson of the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability also suggests
before the impeachment trial proper, no, may mga procedural na dapat pang gawin ng Senate. Baka po pwede na silang umusad doon. Like for example, yung pagtitake ng oath ng mga senador, like yung pagpa-file, yung pagsasubmit ng answer. At least medyo may usad na nakikita tayo. Diba?
Zandro Ochona, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The palace revamp continues, this time at the Presidential Security Commander. President Bongbong Marcos has terminated Major General Jesus Nelson Morales as commander of the PSC. Morales, who had served as PSC head since October 2023, was reassigned to the Philippine Air Force's Training and Doctrine Command. Brigadier General Peter Burgoño replaced him as PSC commander. Burgoño previously served as acting commander of the Army's Intelligence Regiment. Philippine inflation cools to its lowest level in over a year. Let's get details from our correspondent Sujin Kim, who is on the scene at the PSA headquarters in Quezon City. Sujin, go ahead.
Inflation in the country eased in February, dropping to 2.1% from 2.9% in January. The drop was primarily due to slower price increases in food and beverages, housing and utilities, and transport, which make up the largest share of household expenses. Vegetables, tubers, and bananas saw a sharp decline in inflation, dropping to 7.1% from 21.1% in January. Rice prices also fell faster, ranging from 48 to 64 pesos per kilo. Corn prices also slowed, dropping to 0.7% from 3.6% in January. However, not all food prices followed the downward trend. Meat inflation surged to 8.8%, with pork prices rising by 12.1%. But the government expects that implementing a maximum SRP on pork will help ease price pressures. Meanwhile, the transport sector, which had contributed to inflation in previous months, saw prices fall in February due to lower costs of fuel and reduced fares in some public transport services. However, sea transport recorded a sharp increase, with fares rising significantly. Further price declines could be expected within the coming months. However, risks remain, especially in the food sector, as well as the impact of extreme weather events. And those are latest updates from Quezon City. Back to you, Mai.
Sujin, is the February inflation print in line with the central bank's expectation?
No, Mai, actually, the 2.1% inflation recorded in February is lower than the BSP's forecast range of 2.2 to 3%. However, this is all within the government's target range of 2 to 4% for 2025. Mai.
Thank you, Sujin Kim, reporting live from the PSA headquarters. While it's not officially summer yet, intense heat is already hitting parts of the country. Paolo Barcelon tells us how Filipinos are coping with high temperatures.
Metro Manila experienced hot weather yesterday with temperatures reaching to 39 degrees Celsius. Despite being slightly cooler than Monday's 46 degrees, some are already finding ways to beat the heat.
Nagdadala ako ng mga extra payong ganun para hindi ako mabilad sa araw o ano. Tsaka para hindi ako pagpawisan agad.
Kuminsan, I ride the free bus kasi malamig siya. Ibang klase yung lamig niya kaysa yung sa UV Express.
Remote workers like Isid Olivares cool down by getting chilled drinks. Aside from getting a cold caffeine fix, she says it's also one way to save energy.
I do live like mid-upper floor na. So tumatagos talaga yung init. It helps calm me down because of course the heat kind of heats up your head then kind of rises up your temper. So it has a cooling effect, calming effect as well.
Some concerned citizens took footage of what appears to be teachers who are suffering under the sun. Teachers applying for promotion and applicants to teach in Manila were lining up. TUCP Representative and House Deputy Speaker Raymond Mendoza says workers should not feel dehydrated or suffer from heat exhaustion. They call on the Labor Department to implement an advisory that instructs companies to ensure that workers are treated fairly by providing them drinking water, properly ventilated workplaces, and flexible working hours. Doctors like Dennis Ngo approve of the idea.
Alas 10 hanggang alas 4, ito yung pinakamataas ang tinatawag natin ultraviolet exposure. Hindi lamang sa heat index, ito po ay nakakasama sa balat at nagkakaroon ng sanhi ng mga sakit sa balat.
Doc Dennis says work-from-home arrangements can help ease work stress, especially for those who do not require face-to-face contact for work. He also believes children and seniors should not be left in the sun, especially from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Drinking water and wearing comfortable clothes are also very important. Pagasa says heat index temperatures on Wednesday may reach up to 39 degrees. Paolo Barcelon, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
We're taking a break. When we return, the government's outstanding debt hits a new high. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon. You're back on Newsfeed at noon. Former presidential spokesperson Mai Rodriguez fires back at Senator Risa Hontiveros after she questioned his whereabouts during yesterday's Senate hearing. Rodriguez has been missing since being implicated in pogo operations in the country. Hanati reports.
Seems like Senator Risa Hontiveros does not understand the situation of Attorney Mai Rodriguez. That's according to Rodriguez himself. This is after Hontiveros slammed the immigration for not providing enough information about his whereabouts. In his latest statement, the former presidential spokesperson claims he is not fleeing from the law. He insists there were no whole departure order nor a warrant of arrest against him, so he has every right to travel. It was in September 2024 when Rodriguez was cited in contempt by the House Squad Committee for failing to submit subpoenaed documents needed for the investigation on pogos. His name surfaced after being allegedly linked to Cassandra Ong, a high-profile pogo-related figure. Since then, he's been on the hunt by authorities. Hontiveros wants answers.
Alam niyo ba kung nasaan si Mai Rodriguez sa ngayon? Is he still in Dubai?
It was in Abu Dhabi when Rodriguez filed his counter-affidavit in November to dispute a qualified human trafficking complaint by PNP CIDG. Trafficking operations were discovered in a pogo hub in Porac, Pampanga, where he was allegedly involved.
The last information that we had against on the couple, the Rodriguez, umalis po ng Singapore yung wife, and then nagbound for Dubai. And there's also a sighting of Mai Rodriguez also in Dubai.
The BI was asked if they knew about Rodriguez's movements after Dubai.
Alam niyo ba na pumunta siyang Shanghai for one day?
Meron pong information pero wala po kaming validated proof na nag-enter po siya ng China.
The BI also confirmed Rodriguez attempted to fly from Japan to the US but was denied check-in.
Pero meron po kaming alam na pumunta rin po siya ng Japan. And hindi po siya nakaalis. Supposed to be bound for US pero denied flight, denied check-in.
Immigration adds they don't know where exactly in Japan Rodriguez stayed. Despite his legal troubles, he remains active on social media, criticizing the administration while avoiding arrest. He maintains his innocence, dismissing reports as a political smear campaign. Hanati, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The government's outstanding debt hits a new high as of end January. The national debt has reached 16.3 trillion pesos, a rise of nearly 2% from the December figure. It is also more than 10% higher than January 2024. The Treasury Bureau says the increase is due to the net incurrence of new domestic and external debt, as well as the impact of peso depreciation against the US dollar. The Toll Regulatory Board is still planning to roll out a unified cashless toll collection system this year. That's despite the order of Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon to suspend the system, calling it anti-poor. The TRB says the program is merely under review. It adds the DOTR is examining issues related to account management and RFID systems across expressways. The Bureau of Internal Revenue welcomes the tax evasion case filed by the Justice Department against Hillmark Construction Company. The agency also reminds the public of the April 15 deadline for the filing of annual income tax returns. Sujin Kim reports.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue commended the Justice Department for filing charges against Hillmark Construction Corporation for using ghost receipts to evade taxes amounting to 176 million pesos. BIR Commissioner Romeo Lumagi Jr. says this is part of the agency's intensified crackdown on fraud under its Run After Fake Transactions program.
Disadvantage yung mga compliant taxpayers, kaya naman tinututukan natin to dahil gusto natin na pantay-pantay lahat nagbabayad ng tamang buwis. Kaya naman especially for kung government contracts yan, pag nag-bid sila, pare-pareho ang sitwasyon nila at walang nagkakalamangan.
Aside from potential imprisonment, Hillmark is also required to pay the 176.3 million in unpaid taxes. The crackdown on fake transactions is part of BIR's larger advocacy for fair and honest tax payments.
Taxation is not just about fulfilling a civic duty. It is also about fairness and integrity. Buwis na tapat speaks to the need for transparency and accountability in our tax system.
With the April 15 deadline for filing annual income tax returns fast approaching, BIR is reminding taxpayers to file on time.
Everyone, regardless of their status or background, should contribute their fair share to the nation's development. And by doing so, we ensure that the burden is distributed equitably and that no one is left behind.
BIR also highlighted its digital platforms, making tax payments faster and more convenient. Several Filipino celebrities were recognized as top taxpayers, including Catriona Gray, Ding Dong Dantes, Vice Ganda, and Kim Chiu.
I take a lot of pride in being a responsible citizen, but I also request that the BIR continues to create systems and put them in a place that allow us to be taxpayers who are able to be responsible taxpayers.
Nagpapasalamat tayo na napapadali na ngayon talaga yung sistema ng pagbabayad ng buwis. Lahat naman ngayon ay digital na, lahat ay online.
Sana magbayad po tayo ng tamang buwis. Mabuhay po ang lahat ng mga Pilipino.
Sujin Kim, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
In sports, King James making NBA history once again. At age 40, LeBron became the first NBA player to score 50,000 career points. Lakers great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is second with 44,149 combined points. LeBron achieved the historic milestone during Lakers game against the New Orleans Pelicans this Wednesday, Manila time. Prior to this, he was named Western Conference Player of the Month, averaging 29 points, 10.5 rebounds, and almost 7 assists. Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers took that honor for the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, another blow for the Dallas Mavericks as Kyrie Irving is done for the season. Irving sustained a torn left ACL after Dallas's loss to the Sacramento Kings. The 32-year-old star even channeled his Mamba mentality, sinking 2 free throws before leaving the game. Dallas is already dealing with multiple injuries, including Anthony Davis. The Mavs currently sit 10th in the West. In entertainment, good news for those who watch or who want to watch The Brutalist. The multi-award-winning film is released in Philippine theaters today, exclusively at Ayala Mall Cinemas. The Brutalist earned Adrian Brody his second Oscar for Best Actor earlier this week. It also won Best Original Score and Best Cinematography. Millie Bobby Brown has had enough of bullies who claim she is aging badly. The 21-year-old star took to Instagram to slam reporters writing think pieces at her expense. Some hurtful headlines say she was, quote, mistaken as someone's mom. This comes after her appearance at Sunday's Brit Awards. In the video, Millie expressed frustration over unrealistic beauty standards.
We always talk about supporting and uplifting young women, but when it comes down to it, it seems a lot easier to just tear them down for clicks. Disillusioned people can't handle seeing a girl become a woman on her terms, not their own. I refuse to apologize for growing up. I refuse to make myself smaller to fit the unrealistic expectations of people who can't handle seeing a girl become a woman. I will not be shamed for how I look, how I dress, or how I present myself.
And speaking of women empowerment, Ted Lasso stars Hannah Waddingham and Juno Temple are honored with their own Barbie dolls. They're part of Mattel's new line dedicated to famous female friendship duos who support and uplift one another. Hannah's Barbie was inspired by her 2024 Screen Actors Guild appearance, while Mattel went for Juno's look during last year's 2024 Emmys.
The whole Barbie role model lineup is such an extraordinary group of women. To be part of that is incredible, and the fact that it's with Juno, celebrating our friendship, our deep-seated friendship for International Women's Day, it couldn't have been with anybody else.
How do I feel about this and being a Barbie role model for International Women's Day for female friendships? It's quite a hard question to answer because I sort of feel, I feel it in my heart, I feel it in my body, I feel it in my, I just think it's such an honor, it's such an amazing thing to get to be a part of. And I think also because one of the things that I am the most proud of about being a part of Ted Lasso was actually being able to portray a female friendship where women weren't pitted against each other. They weren't being competitive.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Good afternoon.